News breaking a short time ago on Sunday's shooting at a Texas art fair that featured cartoon pictures of the Prophet Muhammad. The group known as Islamic State has claimed responsibility for the attack, the first time the extremist group has claimed an attack on U.S. soil. With more on what this move means, we're joined by Anthony Lemieux. He is Associate Director of Global Studies Institute at Georgia State University. He comes back to us again. Thank you, sir.
Thanks for having me.
So this is the first attack on U.S. soil. How meaningful is that?
I think it kind of represents what has been an ongoing paradigm shift in terms of ISIS and their point of emphasis. For a long time, it had been do whatever you can to get here to join us. And in the recent months, it's really shifted to do what you can, where you can. And so we see this kind of claim of affiliation, the veracity of which still is to be determined. But it almost doesn't matter as much as understanding that there is now the ability for people to act in, small groups or lone actors, and then claim an affiliation, which then ISIS is much more than happy to take.
Now, casting our minds back to the Fort Hood shooting, Major Hassan murdered or seemed to be shooting a lot of people. He's alleged to have murdered them. How similar is that? Islamic State was not in the news then, maybe it didn't exist. Is that a similar thing you would look at?
Well, in terms of the underlying motivations and that sense of I need to do what I can wherever I happen to be, where I have access. Now, what you had in Texas more recently, was this event, which really was essentially like a lightning rod to try, that would draw people in. And so here, we see that was exactly the case, that it created this situation where someone who was so motivated to, avenge this kind of disgrace, to really to cast off the humiliation. And again, this is a theme that has, certainly been featured in ISIS propaganda recently, but to link it back to to the Fort Hood shootings, one of the things that we see is that kind of call for action was something that al-Awlaki was a big proponent of. And so that sense of you are obligated to do something wherever you happen to be is going to resonate across these different examples.
Now, we just saw a picture of one of the alleged shooters. That was Nadir Sufi. He's one of the alleged, and there was another guy, Simpson. Now, when we think about how to fight this sort of terror attack, will the way that the U.S. security forces do that change because of this?
I don't think, drastically. I mean, one of the things that we see is this was actually a really relatively unsuccessful attempt. It was, very low impact. So I think a lot of the issues that, would need to be addressed, I think we've already known about, we've already been concerned about for quite some time, that potential for a lone actor or, in this case, a small group, a dyad of actors, to go and try to carry out an attack. Is something that we've been long concerned with.
Now, Professor Lemieux, you said that this was unsuccessful. It does appear to have been unsuccessful, but Texas, it's well known that people carry guns around a lot. A lot of people are armed there. You look at other places, I'm thinking particularly the city of Chicago, where guns are not or legal guns are not as frequent. Is that going to be make some places more like a soft target and other places more like a hard target? What do you think?
It's a great question. I don't know, the extent to which that would really factor into the underlying calculus and motivations. I mean, if one of the goals in conducting an attack here is essentially to give up your life for this sacred cause, then that would not necessarily be a dissuading factor. Here we had a target of opportunity. It was this particular event where cartoons were being featured that essentially mocked the Prophet, which caused, a real kind of focus here. So wherever that would have been, if it was in Texas, if it were somewhere else, I think the event itself drew the particular attention of these bad actors.
Okay, thank you very much for your insight, Professor Lemieux. We appreciate your time.
Thanks for having me.